But I still don't pay attention to it. Couple things. You are scheduled for a quiz Wednesday. If there is a snow day tomorrow, you will still have your quiz Wednesday. Not on the new material. I didn't put any of the new material on because I had enough to put on. Take out a piece of paper. I would like to walk you through exactly what's on your quiz Wednesday. I'm covering GSRT 5. There are a total of 7 questions. Question number 1 has 3 parts. Are these geometric means, yes or no?
Can you repeat that, please?
No, it'll be on the website. Number 2, there are 3 questions. Find the geometric mean between these numbers. Number 3 is a scenario between 2 geometry students having a conversation with a picture of a geometry problem and asking for help in explaining it. Question number 4 involves 3 triangles. You have to use the heartbeat or the boomerang for all 3 questions. Chances are you have to use it all 3 times. You can use both. You can also use the Pythagorean theorem at times. But you have to know heartbeat and boomerang. And are you okay with that now? 5 is the same thing with rounding. 6, 30, 60, 90 special right triangles. No rounding. Simplest form with your radicals. Number 7 involves a square and area. You know the formula for the area of a square, correct? Length times width. Yep, that's it. There's no quiz.
There's no 44, 45, 45.
It's going to be, 30, 60, 90, 45, 45, 90, special right triangles. It's Wednesday. So if by any chance there's no school tomorrow because of miraculous we get some snow, then it'll still be, it'll still be Wednesday. Nothing new. So I'll stick this up on the website in case anybody missed anything. Homework. This is to review sine opposite over hypotenuse, cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent opposite over adjacent. Any issues with that?
Look at purple. Because I'm special.
Very nice. I like your creativity there. Now, in the handout came the packet. Some school districts actually don't give their students calculators, and students have to provide their own calculators, but we're lucky we have our lovely calculators that you can learn. And then here, we put them on the regular board, which is fine. So there's a couple things I need to clarify. You look at A. I put my finger on the angle that I'm referring to, which in this case is theta. And I'm going to mark it so Mary can see it. So I'm referring to theta. I have the opposite leg and I have the adjacent leg. You can't just write a fraction. You have to write it as, what is opposite over adjacent? Tan. I have to see tan theta. It's got to be the angle, or in this case, the angle's named theta. I have to see tan theta equals opposite over adjacent. That's the first thing I want. Then we plug in. So I'm going to refer to the board over there. So we have 13 over 34, which is fine. That's perfect. And then it said, find the angles when you know the size, use a calculator, and we've got 0.3823. Whoa. And then we've got something different. 20.29. All right, well, I'm going to take my calculator. And I'm going to take 13 divided by 34. And menu, number, take the decimal. There's the whole entire answer. That's the answer. Nothing more. I think. Let me go back to the problem. find the angles. Okay, so it wants the angles. First thing you've got to do is you've got to write that whole number out. So does anybody have it handy? Do you have that whole number? Okay, so I'm going to ask you to read it really nice and slow. So I've got tan theta equals point.
3, 8, 2, 3, 5, 2, 9, 4, 1, 1, 7, 6.
6?
Yep.
Thanks. That's all. Whole thing. You can't do any rounding at all. Go as far as it will. Mine might go a little farther. I can change your calculator too. We'll do that in a minute. Thank you for telling me. Anybody else just truncate it? Truncate means stop. Okay, we're going to fix it in a minute. Okay, so the question says find the angle. So now you're going to have to use your calculator and you're going to hit second tan, or Melissa had a tan -1. So what I do is I come up to trig and inverse tan. So did you see where I went? Yep. No, just forget. I'm just going to show you because if I do it, I won't be able to do my answer. I hit trig, and then I went over to tan -1. Now, in here, I want to put that whole decimal. There's no way I want to type it again. So I'm going to press second answer. Control answer.
Where's answer? It's
Highlighted. Always look up here. It's usually highlighted. Enter. 20.92 degrees. So I would probably write down 20.92 theta, no longer tan, equals 20.92, and then theta is approximately 21. So who did A first? You did a good job. Caitlin did a nice job. The only thing, keep your trig function going. Questions? Sure? Everybody else got it. So now let's look at a couple things. Go to your calculator. Go to your menu. No, sorry. Go home. Go home. Not real home. Go to settings 5. Go to the handheld setup 3. No, sorry. Go to settings 5 and go to document 2.
Oh my god. Huh? Where's my little mouse?
So it's home, settings, document. Right here, Sylvia, this might say float 6.
I don't have that.
Go home, settings,
What is it going on?
oh, document.
I don't have documents. Settings too.
I don't have document either.
What do you have?
I have
Setting.
change language, setting, handhold.
Settings.
Yeah, and then I can have general and graphs and geometry. Yeah, I have general and graphs.
I don't understand why mine is different.
If you hit general, it goes to
Let's
the
put down.
It goes the same thing as yours.
Okay, general.
Yeah.
Great. So if you have general, some of you might be floating 6. That means it stops at 6 decimals. I like to float the whole entire thing. So click on this, and way up at the top is going to be float. Click float. Let's look at this as long as we're here. Let's make sure we're all in degree. Normal, real, auto, rectangular is fine. I need you to come here and say make default, and then OK. If you don't make it the default, it's going to go back to what it was. The big thing there is I like it to float. All right, let's look at the next one. So I know you have it on the whiteboard over there. This is beautiful. I've got my finger right here on the angle that I'm referring to. I have the adjacent side, and I have the hypotenuse, which somebody told me, Courtney, this you? Yeah, so she's got adjacent over hypotenuse, which is beautiful. The only thing I want is what trig function is that? cosine. So it's cosine theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Cosine theta, and she says it's 25 over 32, she's right. So now we write cosine theta equals, we take our calculator, 25 divided by 32, change it to a decimal, 0.78125. Okay, so you're going to write that down, 0.78125. Then we're going to get rid of the cosine. Ready? By hitting trig, cosine to the -1.
What's the negative part to?
It's like inverse.
It's like getting rid of it.
And control answer. So you don't have to type that decimal in. Enter. 38.62.
This you don't have to write out all the
With a degree, generally we round to the nearest degree. So for the degree, I just usually go 2 more decimal places. So I'm going to put 38.62. 38.62. So then I go theta is 39 degrees. No matter what, if it doesn't specify the round, my philosophy is I get the whole thing. If you feel like you need to round, give the whole thing, round in the next step. Give 2 decimals, round in the next step. Just don't round straight up.
When I turn it off points, if it says like not to round and then you round, but you still have the answer that's not rounded.
Probably not. That's why I say to show more. Kayla,
For float, which how far are we going again?
float.
Just float.
Float. This way, it'll take it the whole width of your calculator. And then C, put my finger on my theta, and I've got opposite and hypotenuse. Which is sine. So we've got sine theta equals opposite of hypotenuse. And sine theta equals, and we got that one right on the board too, 22 over 34. So Courtney says, okay, it's 0.6471, did it terminate? No, it kept going. So I always want to make sure I got that. 22, 34. 0.64705, the whole thing. Okay, now trig, inverse sine, your answer, 40.32. So then I would say 40 degrees. And if you don't mind, I'm not going to put that one on the board. Mary, hope you don't mind either. It's weird talking to the board and thinking it's Mary. So, except for some basic notation, how'd you do? Okay? So I want to try A, and then I'll probably let you try B and C. This time we're given an angle, and we're asked to find the side. So from this angle, I'm going to go across, that's the opposite side. And what's the 12? Adjacent. Which is what trig function? Tan. So I'm going to write down tan. This time I don't have a theta, I actually have an angle. So I'm going to plug it in. Tan 38 degrees. What's that? Equals opposite over adjacent. I always set up my ratio first. Then I write tan 38 degrees. Opposite side in our case is x, and the adjacent is 12. Now, I only like to use my calculator once. So, how do you solve a proportion? Beautiful, cross multiply. So 1 times x, and now this is going to be 12 times the tangent of 38 degrees. You'll get in the habit, just when we get to trig, don't pick up your calculator till the end. It'll save you time. So now pick up your calculator, and we're going to do tan 38 degrees. So here's trig. And I need tan 38. I don't trust my calculator, so you know. I press enter.
Some people have to look at the degree.
Thank you. I forgot my degree. Degree can, 38, go to my book, my degree, thank you very much, enter. Luckily, I was still in degree mode, so I was okay.
Wait, how do we get the degree?
Okay, you go to your book, and it should be right there. If not, you might have to scroll over.
Didn't we just make sure we are all in degree mode?
We did, so we should be okay. I was okay. If you're in degree mode, you should still come out okay. I kind of did that just to be on the safe side. But I don't trust my calculator. I press enter, then I do times 12. That's my answer. So you have it on your calculator, and I'm going to have you write it down for me. So x came out to be 9 points.
9.37542751808.
Thank you. And then it doesn't say to round, so I'm going to leave that just like that. The only thing I could do is I can label it centimeters.
I'm almost done.
You can keep working. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark my hypotenuse. So I've got 16, I've got opposite and hypotenuse, because I don't want to confuse hypotenuse with adjacent. Opposite hypotenuse is sine, so sine 16 degrees equals opposite over hypotenuse. Sine 16 degrees, our opposite side is 8 and the hypotenuse is x. Cross multiply, x times the sine of 16 degrees. Notice how I put my degrees on there? Equals 8. How do you solve for x? By sine 16 degrees. All right, so handy dandy calculator. 8 divided by, divided by sine 16. I'm going to play it safe. Degrees. Enter. You get that? 29.02364. Beautiful. Write the whole thing out. 29.023642223. It didn't say to round, so I leave it, but label it centimeters.
It makes sense though, because if you use the hypotenuse, don't the other two angles or sides have to be longer than that one?
The hypotenuse is always the longest, so the other two sides should be shorter.
Yeah, but when you add them together, doesn't it have to be longer than the hypotenuse?
The square, it depends. It depends on what, no. If it's a right triangle, then if you take the other two sides, square them, and add them together, it's got to equal the square of the hypotenuse. It doesn't have to be longer. If it's longer, you would have an obtuse triangle. If it's shorter, you'd have an acute triangle.
I remember, I think it was in the standard told us that the two legs added together have to be more than hypotenuse. Yeah.
Who told you that? If you add two sides of a triangle, not the square, if you add two sides of a triangle, two sides, not square them.
Yeah.
If you add two sides of a triangle, it's got to be greater than the third side in order to make it a triangle. It has nothing to do with right or not, just to make it a triangle. So two sides of a triangle added together has to be greater than the third side in order for it to be any kind of a triangle. If you're dealing with these types of triangles, and if you take the square of the legs and add them together, and it's bigger than the square of the hypotenuse, you actually have an obtuse triangle. If you take two legs, square them, add them together, and it's less than the square of the hypotenuse, you actually have an acute triangle. So you remembered something good, it's just that you're applying it to right triangles, and it's for any triangle. Okay, try C. No me. Are we running or not?
So this is trigonometry, not geometry. This is trig, not geometry. That's what we're doing now.
Good chance. Yeah, good chance. Trigonometry is geometry. Not your friend. So you gotta put the
36
Right,
weeks.
I figured there was too much on there already, so I didn't want to stretch you guys out.
Last week, Monday to Thursday.
Up to statutory practice.
So that would
Choosing
be,
your greens, statutory practice, and reimbursement.
so up, so the last thing kind of is the, somewhere in on this one is,
I don't understand how to label it.
it's adjacent to the comments, but it's came from the annual.
Well, across from the angle is the opposite, and there's no green in there.
Yeah, so
You'll put the text on each other. Now, if you can't do it in school, state teacher centers, so mostly the checklist. The Jason,
How do we do?
Cosine? Yeah.
Is this whole thing from?
Well, it's now working, it should be able to finish it tomorrow. Yeah, take your time. It has, yep, the Jason, you got it, it's gotta be there, otherwise you don't have it right.
So it's like.
You have, if there's no set rule, you just have to follow the original. Who's recording? All right, guys, so you finished the C, I think you got 10.32 centimeters, yada, yada, yada. Beautiful. Now for homework, I've got worksheet 1. Here's what I want you to do. That's a lot. I don't want you to do the whole thing. I want you to do all of number 1, which is the match. I don't think you have to do 2. I think you're fine with labeling. So you can cross 2 off. Turn the page. I'd like you to do 3A, C. I'd like you to do 4, B and D. Then I'd like you to do 6, A, B, C, D. And that's it. Okay.